Your support is invaluable. As we find ourselves with 90% of our viewers still not subscribed, we kindly ask for your support to continue crafting captivating content. We invite you to subscribe and activate the notification bell. We invite you to share your location with us. Please drop your city in the comments below. There are moments when we can sense that something isn't quite right. Not from anything apparent, no overt signals or discernible fractures, merely an instinct. On the evening of his 20th wedding anniversary, Bruce was enveloped by a profound sense of emotion. On the surface, all appeared to be flawless. Their residence, an embodiment of elegant achievement, rested serenely in a prestigious enclave, bordered by meticulously trimmed hedges and majestic maples. The sun dipped low on the horizon, draping the house in a warm golden glow, as shadows twirled playfully over the stone paths and gleaming wood. Within, it was even more pristine. The open living space was enveloped in a warm golden glow, casting a serene ambience throughout. Hardwood floors shone with a mirror-like brilliance. The fireplace, though unlit, loomed as a proud centerpiece, elegantly framed by the artwork Sylvia had curated throughout the years. Refined, sophisticated, luxurious, Bruce had exerted every ounce of his energy. The dining table was arranged as if it had been plucked straight from the pages of a high-end catalog. Immaculate white linen, shimmering crystal glasses, and elegant vintage silverware. A stunning arrangement of deep red roses rested elegantly in a teardrop-shaped vase. The soft glow of vanilla-scented candles danced in the air, intertwining with the rich scent of grilled steak and the deep notes of Cabernet Sauvignon. He stepped away, absorbing the scene before him, attempting to muster a smile. He had meticulously orchestrated every moment. He had even unearthed the ancient box of home videos, those grainy, unsteady VHS tapes brimming with memories long since stored away. He sought to enchant Sylvia with a touch of nostalgia, a gesture steeped in intimacy, a whisper that conveyed, "I remember it all." And yet, beneath the surface, a peculiar dread throbbed in his chest, as if his subconscious held knowledge that his mind was not yet prepared to confront. He stepped into the den, his hands quivering ever so slightly as he lifted the lid of the box. Atop the pile lay the tape marked Wedding 2003. He offered a faint smile as he carefully inserted the cassette into the vintage player he had devoted 2 days to repairing. The screen awakened with a gentle hum, casting a soft glow in the dim room. The nostalgic haze of vintage footage flickered momentarily, and then the past unfolded in all its warm sepia-tone splendor. He beheld her, Sylvia, his beloved Sylvia, youthful, radiant, shimmering in white lace, laughter spilling forth as someone delicately arranged her veil. Then she turned toward the camera, her smile so profound it felt as if she could peer directly through the lens and into the depths of his soul. Next, the vows were recited. The audience erupted in applause. Confetti danced through the air. The shaky footage trembled as the camcorder moved from one guest to another. Bruce reclined, allowing everything to envelop him. He took a delicate sip of his wine. For a fleeting instant, the turmoil in his stomach subsided. Perhaps it was merely a case of nerves. 20 years is quite a stretch of time indeed. Yet, in that moment, the camera gracefully tilted, sweeping across the reception hall. In the periphery, nearly beyond perception, was Sylvia once more. This time, however, it won't be with Bruce. She lingered beside a column. The light was soft, yet it failed to obscure the details that the lens had unveiled. A youthful waiter, perhaps 19 or 20, stands tall and lean, clad in a crisp white shirt and a sleek black vest. With her hands resting on his chest, Sylvia laughed, a sound that danced in the air. Then, leaning in intimate, nearer still, and then it occurred. Her lips met his in a gentle kiss. Neither a casual cheek peck nor an error. A kiss that is complete, intentional, and filled with sensuality. Bruce sprang upright with such suddenness that the wineglass he held slipped from his grasp and shattered on the floor. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. He gazed at the screen, his jaw hanging open, hoping, praying, that it was all just a figment of his imagination. The shadows had woven their deceptive dance around him. He pressed rewind. I viewed it once more. Once more. With each passing moment, the clarity deepened. Her smile was a radiant beacon, illuminating the space around her. Her hands. The kiss lingered in the air. The room abruptly transformed into a blazing furnace. He ripped his jacket away. Inhale lightly, thoughts swirling in a chaotic dance. What was that all about? A brief encounter? An error? A moment steeped in inebriation? Bruce rose to his feet and forcefully pulled the box open once more. The tapes cascaded onto the floor. A romantic escape in Maui. December 2007, a time of festive cheer. A journey to the slopes in 2011, the dance recital of my daughter. He pushed each one into the player one after the other, accelerating the pace, analyzing, yearning for a semblance of order, or perhaps wishing it had been an isolated incident. Yet, the remaining tapes were unremarkable. Everyday family moments, joyful mirth, celebrations of life, journeys. There is nothing even slightly questionable. Not a single sideways glance was cast. The harm had already been inflicted. Bruce lingered in the soft illumination of the flickering screen, his heart shattered like fragile glass beneath heavy steps. In that moment, a flicker of memory ignited within him, the gift he had almost forgotten. He made his way to the kitchen, where a modest velvet box rested next to the wine. Within its confines, a remote access device, not merely a key. This particular piece was part of a Mercedes-Benz SL convertible, elegant and silver, specially ordered months prior. A gesture of faith in someone you truly support, person you hold dear. At this moment, it seemed nothing more than a heartless jest. Before he had the chance to contemplate his next move, the front door let out a soft click as it opened. Sylvia stepped inside, her presence commanding attention in an exquisite black silk dress. Her heels resonated softly against the marble floor. As she let her purse fall onto the console, she halted, absorbing the tableau before her. Softly flickering light. The graceful table. The aroma of wine mingles with the fragrance of blossoms. Wow, she said, her voice gentle and tinged with feigned astonishment. This year, you truly exceeded all expectations. Bruce managed to conjure a smile. It's our 20th, he remarked with quiet sincerity. Sylvia approached with deliberate steps, her gaze sweeping over the table's surface. She traced a perfectly polished finger along the stem of the wine glass, then pivoted to face him, a playful smirk dancing on her lips. 20 years, she said, her voice measured and deliberate. It seems like an eternity, doesn't it? Her voice danced with a playful lilt, yet her eyes pierced with an intensity that commanded attention. Experimentation. Bruce's thoughts whirled in a tempest of confusion. Had she always possessed such a keen sense of strategy? Had he truly been oblivious all this time? She rested against the counter, her arms crossed in a thoughtful pose. What's the true reason for this gathering, then? He shrugged, remarking on your usual restraint with a hint of surprise. Isn't there a way for me to do something thoughtful for my wife? She inclined her head. Certainly, it's simply peculiar. After a brief pause, she continued with a teasing tone. I hope there isn't an unexpected announcement on the horizon, is there? Bruce restrained himself, biting his tongue in an effort to maintain a composed demeanor. Suddenly, his phone vibrated, a reminder he had programmed for himself earlier. He cast a fleeting glance at it before rising to his feet. The hospital, he deceived. Urgent situation. I must take my leave. Sylvia's brow furrowed in discontent. Is it tonight? Bruce gave a slight nod. It seems unavoidable. With a dramatic sigh, she delved into her purse. Before you dash off to rescue the world, take a moment to unwrap your present. He grasped the small box from her, his hands surprisingly steady. Within lay a watch. At first glance, it exuded elegance, with a sleek design and accents of gold trim. Yet, as he grasped it, an unsettling sensation coursed through him. Insufficiently weighty, inexpensive. He turned it over. The branding missed the mark. The metal possessed a delicate thinness. It was an imitation, a mere illusion. She had purchased for him a $20 replica. In celebration of their 20th anniversary, he shut the box and managed a smile, though it felt strained. Thank you. It is reflective. She radiated joy, entirely oblivious to the underlying tone. With a swift motion, Bruce seized his coat. "Don't stay too late," she called as he approached the door. "Rest assured, I haven't overlooked my gift." He remained facing away. "Oh, do not fret," he murmured softly. "I have not overlooked a single detail." With that, he ventured into the night, the gentle glow of the candles behind him gradually fading away. A transformation occurred that night. Bruce had transcended the role of a mere husband. He transformed into a seeker of truth. With each breath he drew, a palpable heaviness settled upon him. Burdened by the weight of suspicion, Bruce found himself in solitude within his car, the rain softly tapping against the windshield while the wipers moved in a steady dance. Days had slipped by since he last laid eyes on the wedding footage. Days stretched into what seemed like an eternity. His previously structured existence had become clouded, teeming with inquiries that would not be quelled. And Sylvia, the woman with whom he had crafted his existence, now seemed like a stranger. A stranger, impeccably attired and elegantly composed, who perhaps bore secrets that even she had forgotten how to conceal. His fingers drummed lightly against the steering wheel as his gaze lingered on the cafe across the street. Sylvia had informed him that she would be meeting Dana for lunch, a relaxed midweek rendezvous. Yet, when Dana responded to Bruce's understated message with a simple "Nope, haven't seen her this week," the falsehood transformed into a glaring signal of alarm. Sylvia emerged from the cafe just 5 minutes later, strolling leisurely with a latte in hand. She smiled quietly to herself, her gaze drifting down to the cup. Bruce narrowed his eyes. The barista, a tall young man, leaned far over the counter as he handed it to her. And that smile? That was not intended for the coffee. He had crossed the threshold of imagination. As the evening wore on, Bruce found himself in the study, enveloped by shadows and the gentle murmur of the ceiling fan. The box of his tapes lingered, transformed into a mere emblem of a bygone era rather than a vessel for reminiscence. He gazed at them for an extended moment before shifting his attention to his laptop. He was reluctant to transform into the man who observed his wife in secret. Yet he had already transformed into him. Crafting the online profile was akin to a treachery, yet it also served as a beacon of salvation, a final glimmer of hope, or perhaps merely the breaking point. Naturally, he refrained from using his own name. He selected an appealing stock image of a man in his 40s, and refined it with AI tools until it appeared genuine yet elusive. Daniel Holt, a name that resonates with intrigue. 42 years of age. Separated, thriving. A man who possessed everything yet yearned solely for the discovery of a true connection. He composed a message for Sylvia. Her reply came within mere hours. Initially, her tone carried a sense of politeness, a reserved quality, perhaps even a hint of caution. Yet, as the second day unfolded, the atmosphere transformed. She laughed more, inquired with genuine curiosity, and even recounted a few personal stories. On the third day, she revealed to Daniel that she was a widow. Bruce gazed at the screen, his mind reeling in disbelief. Unmarried, not in a relationship, not divorced. A woman who has lost her husband. Could it have been a warped dream? Had she distanced herself emotionally from their marriage long before, now crafting a narrative that aligned with her own desires? Her messages took on a more playful and teasing tone. Initially understated, akin to shadows gliding behind a more defined presence. At times, I find myself contemplating the idea of escaping, of embarking on a new beginning, a fresh city, a fresh existence, alongside someone who truly understands me. Bruce experienced a sensation akin to a heavy blow to his chest. He took his time to respond. He required a moment to process the sharpness of her words, to grasp the truth of their current situation. Yet, the past possesses a peculiar ability to resonate into the present, and Bruce was not alone in his quest to untangle a concealed narrative. At work, Brandon, an old friend and colleague of Bruce, observed the transformation within him. "You appear as though sleep has eluded you for a week," he remarked one afternoon, cradling a cup of lukewarm coffee in the break room. "Is all well?" Bruce contemplated the idea of deception. Yet what was the purpose now? It seems that Sylvia may be concealing something. Brandon arched an eyebrow. What do you mean? All of it. Brandon remained silent after that. He cast Bruce a lingering gaze, one imbued with both compassion and uncertainty, as if he possessed knowledge that weighed heavily on his mind, contemplating whether to reveal it. That night, an unsettling sensation clung to Bruce, refusing to let go. Thus, he revisited the tapes, seeking not evidence but the elusive answers he craved. He longed to glimpse the Sylvia of his memories, the laughter, the gentle caresses, the exchanged glances when they believed no one else was observing. Yet, an unusual occurrence took place. During a family trip to Lake Tahoe, Bruce spotted something peculiar in one of the home videos. It was the summer of 2011. Their daughters frolicked by the water's edge. Sylvia sat gracefully on a nearby bench. A figure emerged from the periphery, drawing closer to her. Not a face Bruce knew. He stood tall, impeccably groomed, with sunglasses perched on his nose. Sylvia remained poised as he approached, and then, rather than stepping back or offering a courteous gesture, she enveloped him in her arms. Not a warm embrace, but something entirely different. Her hand lay gently on his chest as she spoke, her body turned toward him. Bruce halted the tape. The man's face angled ever so slightly toward the camera, revealing the unmistakable contours of his jawline. Todd was the man married to Dana, the very Todd who had shared that dinner, laughing, sipping wine, and meeting Bruce's gaze with unwavering confidence. The sting of betrayal was more profound than ever. This was more than mere emotional distance from Sylvia. It unfolded as a recurring motif, a serene, meticulously honed existence of duality. When reality inflicts greater anguish than deception, certain individuals flee from it. Some stride boldly into the flames. Bruce lay awake throughout the night. The message Sylvia sent, "Sometimes I think about running away with someone who truly understands me," resonated in his mind like a haunting melody in a desolate corridor. It was more than a fleeting notion. It was a longing. She had confided in someone she thought was a stranger. For days, Bruce maintained the facade. He was Daniel in the digital realm, captivating, considerate, embodying all that Sylvia appeared to desire. He absorbed her words as she unveiled her frustrations, detailing how Bruce had grown distant, how at times she felt as though she were mourning him even while he was still alive. It shattered him, not due to the veracity of it all, but rather because he had failed to recognize the extent of his own invisibility to the woman he had vowed to love. And yet, an unusual sense of relief washed over me as I heard it from her. Amidst the web of deceit, Bruce ultimately conveyed his request, via Daniel, for her to meet. Only coffee. He set his fingers to the keys. A tranquil place, free from the weight of expectation. She paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. He watched as the typing dots flickered into existence and then faded away. Lastly, one can find a quaint bookshop cafe nestled on Carson Street. On Tuesday at noon, I shall be situated in the rear. Tuesday arrived. Bruce made his entrance ahead of schedule. The aroma of paper mingled with the warm scent of cinnamon in the cafe. He selected a seat positioned at a distance that allowed for observation, yet remained near enough to take in her features distinctly. Sylvia entered the room 10 minutes behind schedule, her appearance a stark contrast to the composed figure captured in their wedding video. She adorned her face with nothing but her natural beauty. Her eyes bore the weight of exhaustion. She appeared authentic. She settled into the chair against the rear wall. Her phone lingered in her grasp, her thumb anxiously dancing across the screen. He refrained from coming closer. He was unable to. He slipped away quietly, making his way to the coast, where the waves crashed against the shore in a relentless rhythmic dance. He found himself seeking answers beyond just Sylvia. It was he himself. In the days that followed, he retreated. Silence from Daniel has settled in. Ceased the observation, only quietude. He had to find out. Would she even realize if he ceased his pursuit? Would she truly care? She certainly did. Sylvia became increasingly remote in reality as well. As if a fragile barrier within her had begun to fracture. She grew increasingly reserved, lost in contemplation. One evening, she drew near to him as he immersed himself in a book. "Bruce, may we engage in a conversation?" His heart raced, yet he maintained a calm tone. "Certainly." She settled into her seat, her hands trembling ever so slightly. "I don't know what's happening to me," she murmured, her voice barely rising above a whisper. "I sense that I'm being overwhelmed. A different life dances in my mind, vivid and alluring. And I loathe myself for it. Your kindness has always been a constant in my life. Yet I find myself feeling disconnected from who I truly am. I am no longer the person I was when we exchanged vows. And I wonder if you even notice my presence now." Bruce remained quiet, a tension coiling within him. At last he found his voice. "Perhaps I have not. Perhaps in my relentless pursuit to keep everything intact, I overlooked the gradual unraveling we were both experiencing." Sylvia's eyes brimmed with tears. "Do you despise me?" He slowly shook his head. "Numerical value. Yet, it seems we have lost the ability to be truthful with one another. It seems we have lost the ability to truly see one another." A lengthy hush enveloped the space. Then she uttered a remark that took him aback. "I have been engaging in conversation with an individual online. Initially, it seemed innocuous, yet I suspect I was relying on him as a means of escape. I find myself questioning the true essence of who he really was." Bruce inhaled deeply. "I understand," he replied softly. "I was he." Sylvia stood still, her body rigid with shock. "What is this?" He mentioned that he had created the account. I found myself compelled to know. I needed to grasp the essence of our loss. "I apologize." Sylvia gazed at him, utterly astonished. Then gradually tears began to flow down her cheeks. Once again the room was enveloped in silence, neither wrathful nor unkind, burdened by the weight of unspoken words. On that particular night there were no arguments. They refrained from raising their voices. They lingered in silence, side by side, cradling the truth as if it were delicate and freshly discovered. Time slipped away. They began to engage in conversation more frequently. It isn't solely focused on the past. Rather, it centers on their aspirations for the present and future. They decided to pursue assistance side by side, not due to the fact that everything lay in ruins, but rather because it held the promise of reconstruction, each brick laid with intention and care. The VHS tapes were returned to their box. The wedding video lingered in memory, yet it no longer cast a shadow over Bruce's thoughts. It was a fleeting moment, beautiful indeed, yet merely a single chapter in a grand narrative that continues to unfold. Some truths carry a weight of pain, the narrator murmurs gently. Yet, the absence of sound poses a greater threat than any of our deepest anxieties. At times, the most courageous act we can undertake is to find our voice and express it. Not every tale concludes with clarity. Some conclude with a sense of acceptance. Half a year has passed. The house had taken on a new essence, not due to the rearranged furniture or the freshly painted hallway walls, but rather because of the stillness that enveloped it. Not the type of silence that is steeped in resentment or regret. This was tranquility. Bruce and Sylvia had chosen the arduous path, therapeutic exploration, veracity, truthfulness with unrefined contours. On certain evenings, their laughter echoed as it once did. On other nights, they found themselves seated opposite one another, enveloped in silence. Indeed, that marked a step forward. On a drizzly evening, Bruce returned to the attic once more, meandering without a specific destination in mind, simply exploring. The vase box lingered in the corner, reminiscent of a faded scar. With a moment's pause, he finally decided to open it. The wedding video rested at the pinnacle of the collection, ensconced in its faded black sleeve. He raised it and something slipped out from beneath, a tape that was unfamiliar to him. No label. A simple, somewhat dusty case. Bruce's eyelids fluttered momentarily. He had not produced any additional tapes, and he was certain that Sylvia had not done so either. In a moment of overwhelming intrigue, caution was cast aside. He descended the stairs, inserted it into the weathered VCR that had miraculously endured 10 years of abandonment, and hit play. Stillness, followed by a brief shimmer. The screen displayed Sylvia, a more youthful incarnation, perhaps just a year into their union. She found herself in their first apartment. Her hair was swept back, without any makeup, clad in a well-worn hoodie of his. She gazed intently into the lens of the camera. "Is that you, Bruce?" she uttered. "Chances are this will remain unseen by you. I'm uncertain about the reason behind this recording. Perhaps it's due to the sensation of fading away, and I long to recall the experience of being truly noticed." She hesitated. "My heart is yours. Yet fear grips me, fearful that we may slowly drift apart, oblivious to the gradual separation, that we shall rise as unfamiliar souls sharing the same space." She offered a faint, melancholic smile. "If you happen upon this, I trust we have unraveled the mystery. I trust we have not surrendered." The screen faded to black. There are no closing credits, no concluding remarks. Only that Bruce remained in a state of stunned silence. The tape lay in wait, concealed for years, akin to a message in a bottle from another existence. Under the veil of night, he revealed it to Sylvia. She observed in silence. As it drew to a close, she faced him. "I don't recall creating that," she murmured. He offered a subtle smile. "Perhaps it was never meant to be. Perhaps it was destined for this iteration of ourselves." They remained silent. They did not descend into the echoes of the past. They simply embraced one another, not from a place of despair, but from a place of acknowledgement. Two individuals who opted to remain when departing may have found it simpler. The passage of time continued unabated. They did not attain perfection, yet they emerged into existence. There were days brimming with laughter and awkward twirls in the kitchen. Others remained silent, burdened by their reflections. Yet each day belonged to them. Exchanged, not enacted. Bruce resolved never to message anyone under a false name again. There was no necessity for him to do so. From that moment on, Sylvia never uttered Daniel's name again, having transcended the necessity for secrets. In the end, they transformed their wedding video into a digital format, not out of a desire to hold on to the past, but to pay tribute to it. As the evening unfolded, they shared gentle smiles while watching it together. In that moment, they stood, youthful and bright-eyed, brimming with aspirations they had yet to learn to fulfill. And now they found themselves in the same place once more. Imperfect yet authentic. Not every tale concludes with a grand display of fireworks. The narrator speaks softly. They arrive at a serene conclusion to persist onward, in unison,